We'd like to get the program started. First of all, I'd like to welcome everyone this evening to the annual dinner of Bais Tefila of Inwood. Firstly, I'd like to thank the Chashuv Rabbanim and community members for joining us as we celebrate our 5th annual dinner. It takes a number of people to be able to create and organize and plan and pull off an event such as this. Year after year, there are numerous people who we rely on. First, Mrs. Hindi Solomon and Mrs. Tzipora Reisman. We have a devoted dinner committee who dedicate countless hours of time. Yehuda Michaeli, Shmuel Friedman, Shmuley Flaum, Adam Mayer, Tzvi Sussman, Yehuda Zachter, Ohavia Feldman, and many more. This event, and I would say any event that goes on in the shul, large or small, would not be complete without the meticulous oversight and the careful planning of one specific individual, who happens to be a very close friend of mine, Leon Lantzman. Through the efforts of those and many others, we're able to pull off such an amazing event. And most importantly, we thank Hashem Yisbarach for his siyata d'shmaya in enabling us to accomplish so much. The most integral part of a shul is our manhig. Without our Rav, we would be just another Shachris minyan, another Sunday Mincha Ma'ariv in someone's basement. I personally have gained so much from our Rav's guidance and insight. Every time I speak with somebody who knows him, I'm reminded of how lucky I am to have a special kesher, a special bond that we share. Our Rav is not only a shoulder to lean on when things are tough. Our Rav is someone who keeps us focused on the right direction, always deftly coaxing us to continue to better ourselves. And our Rav is also a close friend. I cherish our relationship more than anything else. The past 5 years have been quite a ride. Emir Hashem, we should be zocha to many more. As our beautiful community continues to flourish and grow under his steady guidance and leadership. Without further ado, I'd like to call upon our Rav.
Rishus, Rabbanim, Menalim, Rosh Yeshiva, Chol Kol HaKodesh Hazeh. I know for many, it's been a little bit mysterious nefesh even, the threat of the storm, it's conflicting opinions of exactly how much it's going to be, therefore from how much and how far they're willing to travel. So for all you assembled here, I give you a tremendous yasher koyach, and we appreciate on a personal and a communal level all the chizuk that you're giving us. I would like to repeat and reaffirm that which Rapini Ackerman had said already, thanking the dinner committee and all those involved. I was most of the time I was on the sidelines, but a little bit when I got to watch the control room, I was simply astounded to see at a time of tremendous achdus, camaraderie, but at the same time, the aggressiveness and the assertiveness that was necessary, and the proper balance to make this dinner such a success as it is. So for you, and all those involved, and all those who have helped, you have upped the level, perhaps where we're striving to get to, and for that, I personally am eternally grateful. When it comes to honorees, which I'm sure we'll hear more from in a few minutes, I would just like to say something on a personal note. Many people look at, you could take the honorees, and you could say, growing up, it's Bais Tefila of Inwood, there's 50 families here, so no, there's a good chance. You get 2 of them, and every year you got to find some more, a few more people move in. But I want to say that the honorees that of this shul honors is something unique and something special. And perhaps I have a vantage point that many others don't. If you take the Tempelmans, for example, I think there's one pasuk that touches them up so well. And that's Batsnei Alecha Sim Hashem Aleikecha. There are those that do things with much fanfare. When it comes to the Tempelmans, it's with a stille hate. Whether it's mentoring, whether it's fundraising, whether it's doing activities to benefit the shul, the community at large, whether it's gabayis, whether it's davening, whether it's doing anything that is necessary and asked from them at any given time, their ganze heart is there, their whole heart is fully put into anything which is needed. And it's done in a quiet way, always looking to know, Im Hashem Elokecha, what does HaKadosh Baruch Hu want from me? How much should I be doing? Should I go to the right or should I go to the left? Should I go this way or should I go that way? That's Batznei Elechas Im Hashem Elokecha. It's not just a random couple picked. These are Gedolim of their own sort. And when it comes to the Fischlers, you see a couple, as they move in, they hit the ground running. If they see something missing, there's a gap, how can we fill it in? There's a void, what can we do? And not just how can we do and how can we talk the talk and try to put in a little bit and let me have a committee and let me have other people. But rather it's how can we do it to the greatest amount possible. Striving for excellence, looking for perfection in every single nuance that they're involved in as a couple. That's something which is not katnus, that's godless. So my personal bracha to these two couples and to their families, be it the Fischler, the Markowitz, the Tempelmans, and the Schwartzes, and the grandparents as well. They should all derive nachas from each other, and they should see much bracha v'atzlacha b'chol ma'isi yadayim. The Yidden cross the Yam Suf. They come out of the Yam Suf and they look back and they see the mightiest, the most powerful army in the world decimated in front of their eyes. And they say, relief at last. Wow, Baruch Hashem, we're finally, after all these years of servitude, we're home. It's just us. They turn around and there's an army about to besiege them. The Amalekim are coming. And what does Moshe Rabbeinu tell them to do? He says, B'char lanu anoshim. Choose people and go fight the war. They fight the war, they win. But if you look at the way the psukim are worded and the way that we approached each war, each battle, it's two totally different mahalchim, two totally different ways. When it came to the Mitzrayim, and Klal Yisrael didn't know where to go, didn't know what to do, Moshe Rabbeinu says, just stand back. Hisyatzevu ura'u v'sishuas Hashem. Just stand and watch this HaKadosh Baruch Hu sending us the salvation. Enjoy the show. And that's taka what happened. They didn't have to lift a finger, and the Mitzrayim were killed. Yet when it comes to Amalek, Moshe Rabbeinu turns to Yeshua and he says, B'char lanu anoshim. Choose men, anoshim chashuvim, b'tzevi ilachim al Amalek, and go fight and wage war with Amalek. Why the change? What's going on? What's the difference? Why not HaKadosh Baruch Hu just take care of it all like he just did by Mitzrayim? And I heard a beautiful idea. That really what this is showing us are two levels of leadership. There are certain leaders, they lead, they dictate, and then there are followers. They say go, the followers go. They say stop, the followers stop. That's what happened at a time when Klal Yisrael was leaving Mitzrayim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says stop, they stopped. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says jump in, they jump in. Watch, they watch. But then after that, he said there's a time for a different type of leadership. Now, in order to forge ahead and to form what was necessary then as Am Yisrael to be ready for the Kabbalah HaTorah, they needed to do something which is a little bit different. And Moshe Rabbeinu turns to Yeshua and he says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of course, will give us a siyata d'shmaya. But ultimately, it's got to come from B'char lanu anoshim. It's got to come from you. You choose the men. You wage the war. You fight. And when Moshe Rabbeinu's hands were up, they were matzliach. When they were down, when he felt weaker, Aaron and Hur had to help out, and together they won that war. Two totally different mahalchim. And the idea is, one level is a leader and you have its followers. But another level, a greater leader, makes leaders. And a leader that can make leaders is something which is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. And that's why he made that battle second. And he made it right coming on the tail of what they just watched, the show of Mitzrayim. A number of people have asked me over the past month, and they've seen the invitation, and it says there, Bais Tefila of Inwood, the 5th annual dinner, the next phase. What exactly does that mean, the next phase? Are you building? Are you moving? It means the next 50 families. Does it mean the next 5 years? What's the next phase? I doubt this was the kavanah, that this was the intent. But I was thinking as follows. And I think you could tell that you could see that there's a shift. When we first moved in, the first few years of this young shul, so there was enormous effort put in on behalf of the members of this kehillah. And there always was. And I'm sure there always will be. But to some extent, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was showing us Bechinas es Yatzivuru es Yeshuas Hashem. And Hashem was guiding us in a very open way and made it seemingly pretty easy. And as it grew, and it kept on building, and Baruch Hashem, whenever we needed a different venue, we found it, all local, a bigger, easier, something we could afford, and such a beautiful crowd and chevra moving in, always ba'achtos. And it was something which was just tremendous. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu was kaviyachol, yes, with our ishtadlus, but he was showing us, he says, stand back and watch the show. But when it comes to this year, I think HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us, and as we've shown, something, we're on ready for the next stage. We're ready for the next plateau, which HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, you don't end by being just a follower and watching the show from afar, but rather it's being something, a part of something, becoming a leader in your own right. And that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted, and we see from this past year how it was begeder and bechina, bechar lanu anoshim, choose for us men, become gedolim, become something bigger, become anoshim chashuvim. And if you look around, you see people that have given of themselves and come out every single member in some way that has taken this past year as a tremendous form of growth, be it personally, in a collective way, taking achrayas for the tzibur, for the community, for the shul. How many moistis and organizations and yeshivas and Bais Yaakovs that they're involved in. These are young people. Not men of tremendous means. But because of their devotion and their concern for the klal and taking the achrayas, they become bigger people. And said, we're fed up. We're not just being followers, but rather we're being leaders. And we're going to storm ahead. And we're going to wage war against Amalek, which Amalek stands for Yish, which is despair. And we're not going to have that. We're going to show by example and lead on. And you see, be it communal organizations, Klal Yisrael organizations, looking for new initiatives, bringing in new speakers, new shiurim. What can we do? We're in the middle of a few more ideas to better our shul, to better our communities, enhance our davening, better our siddurim. This is what we're all about. This transforms us from being just a mere spectator to becoming vibrant participants and passionate about Klal Yisrael, about Yiddishkeit, and about lighting that torch that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to do amidst all this darkness. I have to say something else. On a personal level as well, what this past year has shown, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed us, to bechar lanu anoshim, there are times when my hands also became a little weaker. And perhaps there were times when I wasn't able to hold up as I should. And that's where the Aron and the Chor, not comparing the two, but in Mitzvah Shem one day you could definitely all be Aron and Chors. And we got that chizuk on such a personal way, and for those that reached out, and so many people, and in such a meaningful ways of showing that we're there and we're in this together, and we're going to build together, empowering me, encouraging me to lead us on that charge that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us to continue further and to raise our torches that much higher. That's what I feel is the beginning of the next phase. We've made ourselves from spectators to vibrant participants. We transitioned from small people to bigger people. We made ourselves from ketanim to gedolim, from followers to leaders. We know that Moshe Rabbeinu, when he wanted to get into Eretz Yisrael, he davened Kaminyan Ve'eschanan 515 times. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells the Moshe Rabbeinu, you daven one more time, I'm going to have to let you in. So al toisef oid, do not add on one more tefillah. But yet HaKadosh Baruch Hu is misavle tefillah shel tzaddikim. He desires the tefillahs. He wants our prayers. He wants our tefillahs. So what did he do with that extra tefillah that Moshe Rabbeinu was going to daven? So Svarim tell us It was saved to Vatoisef Esther, Vatedaber Lefnei HaMelech, Vatipo Lefnei Ragla, Vateif Vatischanin Loi. When Esther came to beg and to daven to Achashverosh, daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Shef Siyat the Shmai with Achashverosh, crying to the king, Vatoisef, that Al Toisef Oid became Vatoisef Esther. And Vatipol is written B'Lashon Chaser to add on to number 516, to give us that extra tefillah. That's what Esther davened for. And I think, as we know, the Megillah is a Megillah L'Dairis. That anytime we find ourselves in Gullus, anytime we find ourselves through dark and confusing and deeply entrenched times that we don't see the light out, we look towards the Megillah because there was no time worse than that. When Esther herself, who was a Neviah, she says, Keli, Keli, lo ma'azaftani. And yet they were able to turn it around through this tefillah. So I think HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when we look through our darkness, and we look through our Molech, which we're fighting today, which is the yish and despair and the apathy that people show, we as a community, as a kehillah, when we unite together of Leich Kenois Kala Yehudim, and Bais Tefila becomes one shtick, Anis Tefila, becomes one tefillah together, this 516th tefillah, this same bechina of what Esther davened in Beis Achashverosh, when we light the torches of the Kedusha amongst the Tumah, and when we show that it's shayach and it's possible to grow and to be more passionate about Yiddishkeit even today, and to try to strive closer and closer towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even in such a world, even in such a manner, times before Mashiach, times when it's so dark, in such a way, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to say, I need those people to lead the charge. Where are those Anoshim? Bechar lanu Anoshim, go out there. I need you. I need those people. And when he's going to be looking for those people, he's going to see what we've transformed from this past year. He's going to look at the Bais Tefila of Inwood, who have stepped up to the plate and have entered that next phase of becoming Gedolim and becoming Anoshim. And he's going to look at those people who are vibrant participants, who are bigger people, who have taken achrayas for the klal and achrayas for the prat. And he's going to want to tell you, I want you people to shed that light. It's my fervent bracha that we all continue to strive to transition from followers to all becoming leaders. And all ish kifi yachalta, each one kifi our way. And then a mitzvah Hashem will be zeiche to see the ultimate show. Begeder and bechina, his yatz v'ru es Yeshuas Hashem. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to continue the program. It's not much of a program, so bear with us. Each family that moved into our community has individual goals and aspirations. Personal, professional, in ruchnius and otherwise. 5 years ago, we wanted an affordable, appealing neighborhood where we could settle and plant our roots firmly in the ground. A place that, with Hashem's help, would become a makom where we could grow in our avoda and Yirah Shamayim with like-minded families. Shortly thereafter, we founded the shul, and it was apparent that Rav Pinchas Weinberger was fit to lead us. Our Rav has taken us from a diverse group of people with individual goals and aspirations and galvanized us into a community, one that is constantly pushing and striving for ever greater heights in our service to Hashem, service to the Klal, and ultimately, service to ourselves. It is with his steadfast leadership and encouragement that we're gathered here this evening to celebrate 5 incredible years as a shul and as a community. So what is the next phase? Baruch Hashem, we have over 50 families, a nightly kollel, daily minyanim, shiurim, an active nesheh, community events, and the list goes on and on. To me, the next phase is channeling that momentum into making an impact on the community around us. First, we establish that we're on the map. We've become a destination. Now, it's time to share that tremendous motivation and desire of bettering ourselves with the community around us. Certain people have taken a lead in that regard. An example of this is the recent Hachnasas Sefer Torah we held, hosted by Yossi and Leah Fischler. They epitomize that characteristic of setting an example for others to push and hold the Torah up high. It was a tremendous Kiddush Hashem, but it took a lot of work. Planning, organizing, making phone calls, etc. But the Fischlers don't shy away from such hard work. They relish in it. They set the bar ever higher and help people around them continually strive for it. They're always thinking about what we as a community can do. Today, in 6 months, 2 years, 10 years, and beyond. Our lives are filled with a lot of gray area. But if you're always focused on the long-term goal, it's always in your sights, it's much easier to see the things directly in front of you and with a lot more clarity. And that's what Yossi and Leah Fischler do. And for that, we thank you. Yossi and Leah Fischler, it's our cover to ask you to come up and accept this award. By the way. What?
Imagine you're a farmer and you come upon 2 fields. One field is full of crops as far as the eye can see, so dense you could barely walk through. On this field there's a lot of different farmers tending to all the crops. The other field recently been planted and the plants are producing the first few seasons of crops. And there is a small contingent of farmers eager to keep these plants growing and looking to plant more. You walk over to the first field and ask to plant your seeds or help with their crops. While they are grateful for your interest, they are hesitant to agree because they have so many assistants and very little room, if any, to plant. You then walk over to the other field and ask the same thing. They graciously invite you to plant crops and excitedly enlist your help. To them, each individual makes a difference. As everyone knows, the theme of this dinner is the next phase. A person moving to Inwood now is not a pioneer. We are past the pioneering stage. Yet it is in places like Inwood that each individual can really make an impact. The potential is endless. Opportunities abound. We have already started reaping the fruits of our labor, as shown here at our 5th annual dinner, attended by over 200 people, but are still excited about every family joining our shul, as we were when it was first formed. We have the shul, and the Rav, and the Nussie, and the Kola and Shiurim. We just finished a successful Hachnasa Sefer Torah campaign, and members of Hatzalah reside here. The next phase encompasses what we have, growing it, and adding to it. Currently, the community is in the design stage of a new mikvah. The shul is working towards the idea of having our own makom kavua. And with ever-growing amount of children, pirchei and benos groups are in our immediate future. Inwood is becoming a true force in the Torah world. We have just touched on the potential of what we can become. I was brought up to respect all types of people, to be a moral person, and perform chesed frequently. Teaching by example, we had unknown guests for Pesach. My mother made cakes for family and friends, simchas, and we prepared Pesach packages for Aniyah Yercha. Both my parents were an integral part of the Chevra Kadisha, and tzedakah was of utmost importance. When I was looking for a wife, these traits that I learned from my parents were ones that I wanted to share with her and know that she respected these values. My wife, Leah, is a person that exceeds these values beyond mine or anyone's expectations. She sees the true best in people. Nothing I have done up until this point could have happened without her, her support, and her radiant smile. After almost 5 years of marriage and getting to know my in-laws, it's simple to see them in Leah. They live for their children in every respect. They will do anything for anyone at the drop of a hat, and I'm glad to call them my parents. When looking for a house, we were searching for a strong sense of community. My wife and I went through a tough time right after we moved in. We moved in June 1st, 2012. During this time, my wife was going through an extremely tough pregnancy with our second child. By the beginning of October 2012, my wife was put on bed rest till the end of January 2013, when our daughter Elisheva was born. Every Shabbos meal and supper for that time period was provided by the women in the community without question or fanfare. Keep in mind that my wife had met few, if any, of these women yet, based on her difficult pregnancy. It was just amazing. Pair this up with Hurricane Sandy and the associated chesed, the Inwood community members just blew our minds. Within 6 months, we had our decision to move to Inwood validated and leaving us without any doubt. The Inwood Kehila has shown us what true selflessness is. The ambitious goals and genuine caring resonates in everything that we have done here. It is easy to feel part of the Inwood family because you know your friends and neighbors will be there to support you. The people of Inwood redefine for me and clearly demonstrate what V'ahavta l'recha kamocha means. To our fellow honorees, Tempelmans, we are privileged to share this distinction with such a worthy couple. I want to thank everyone that has joined us tonight and for all our supporters. I would like to thank the Rav, the Shul Board, the dinner committee, the Nussie, and the community and Shul members for all that they do and bestowing this honor upon my wife and I. It is my deepest hope, and I give us all bracha, that we continue this great atmosphere as we expand and grow to greater heights. Thank you.
Nussie and Rachelli Tempelman exemplify the midah of quiet leadership to the nth degree, making the shul a place where everyone feels welcome has always been a trademark of the Tempelmans, and always with a perpetual smile on their faces. I know everyone in our shul has some sort of rapport with our gabbai. They've somehow managed to create that special relationship with each person in our community. They understand what it takes to get things done. Doing work, especially behind the scenes for the shul, it's not a glamorous job. It takes a certain gevura, a strength, to stand up and just get it done. And it makes an impression on the people around them. It sets an example by others to follow, and people recognize that, and we appreciate it. And for that, we thank you. Mr. and Mrs. Tempelman, please come up and accept this award.
Thank you, Penny, for those really kind words. A wise man once said, if you live in a community with 50 families, then the chances of being honored in that shul's community dinner will be great. That being said, when the rabbi and the president of the shul came to our home in late December, asking us to accept the honorees at this year's dinner, we were not in the least bit surprised. On a little more serious note, it is a tremendous honor, and yes, I mean honor, to represent the shul in its main fundraising campaign of the year. Our shul plays a pivotal role within the community itself, as well as in the general Five Towns Far Rockaway communities at large. It is a shul which is home to a vibrant nightly kollel, where those from within the community and those from outside of the community participate. It is a shul with daily minyanim, and most importantly, it is a shul which I am proud to be raising our children in. It is Bais Tefila of Inwood. But the shul is much more than just that. It is a shul which prides itself on no talking during davening. A shul with an unparalleled sense of achdus, and most importantly, a shul which has a devoted rabbi and rebbetzin who are committed to the klal, committed to each family, and specifically committed that each and every family is pursuing their utmost potential. Amongst the many great traits is the endearing sense of arvus that pervades our very fabric. In an instant, when someone is in need, whether of great importance or just a cup of sugar, someone is always there. Our sense of arvus, though, does not only pertain to matters within the community. Through the myriad of chesed organizations that go on in the Far Rockaway and Five Towns area, a member of the Inwood community is almost always involved in one capacity or another. Where else would someone offer to drive someone to the airport at 3 a.m. simply because? Where else would someone volunteer to schlep food for a kiddush and shalashudas every week by himself? And where else can you find a community member waiting for the snow so he can offer people rides in his Jeep? Less than 1 week ago, I simply asked if someone had a wet vacuum, and within 30 minutes, Shlomo Solomon and the co-honoree tonight, Yossi Fischler, were in my house helping me pump water out of my basement while holding my hand as they did it. The time, 11:30 p.m. on Sunday evening. That is Bais Tefila of Inwood, and stories like this take place on a regular basis. When it came to Makas Dam, Hashem told Moshe to instruct Aaron to hit the waters. Rashi explains that it was because the water protected Moshe when he was in the basket, and as such, it would not be appropriate for him to hit the water. It seems Moshe Rabbeinu had a chiyuv of hakaras hatoiv to the waters. In Michtav Me'Eliyahu, Rav Dessler asks the following 3 questions. How would the Ya'ar know? It's not a bar das. It wouldn't have any inkling at all who hid it. And 2, why was Moshe Rabbeinu mechoyev in hakaras hatoiv at all? The water didn't do anything special. He was supposed to float in the box. And 3, even if the Yam understands, and even if it did go out of its way to float Moshe, but even still, the Ya'ar would want to turn into Dam in order to be Mekadesh Shem Shemayan, And so hitting of the yam could have easily been done by Moshe Rabbeinu. Rav Dessler explains that when someone owes something hakaras hatov, it's not about the receiver, and if the receiver is interested or not. The pshat in hakaras hatov is that it must be looked at from the eyes of the ones indebted to give thanks. That means that regardless if the receiver wants it or doesn't want it, the chiyuv remains. So Moshe Rabbeinu could have all the cheshbonos in the world why it was okay for him to hit the water, but he still had a chiyuv of hakaras hatov, and that's why Hashem told Moshe to ask Aaron to hit the water. Tonight, I have a chiyuv to give thanks to the Rabbi and Rebbetzin. And like I said, regardless of if they want me to publicly thank them or not, my chiyuv remains intact. And so, as I reflect on the 4 years that Rachelli and I live here, and the close to 25 years that I know the Rav, we feel obligated to let you know how much you mean to the community. You are such wonderful people, so thoroughly devoted to the klal, and we are so privileged to have you as our leaders. Yehi Ratzain that you continue in your avodas hakodesh in health ad 110 shana. I must also thank my parents and in-laws for all that they do. May we only continue to be a source of Yiddish nachas to them. Present here this evening is Rachelli's grandparents, Saba and Safta Steinhardt. Rachelli and I have both learned a tremendous amount from both of you, and we are lucky to be grandchildren of such a special couple. Thank you to the board, as well as to the entire dinner committee. You carry a lot of weight, but it does not go without notice, and a dinner like tonight is testament to that fact. Particularly, though, I want to thank Penny Ackerman and Leon Landsman for all that they do. I have never, and I mean never, met people so thoroughly and selflessly dedicated to serving the klal. You made being honored at a dinner so simple, and although I can never adequately articulate all that you do, I can thank you for everything you do for all of us on a constant basis. I simply don't know how you do it. We thank you all so much for joining us this evening and showing your support. Have a great night and get home safely.
Whew. I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out again tonight. A special thank you to, now that I can say this after everybody ate, a special thank you to the Katz family and Elite Caterers for putting together a beautiful, beautiful dinner. We're going to be serving dessert soon, and as Nussie said, please get home safe. Thank you very much. Have a good night.